U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has named billionaire investment banker Warren Stephens as his pick for U.S. ambassador to Britain. Trump made the announcement in a post on social media, calling him one of the most successful businessmen in the country. Warren Stephens is Chairman, President and CEO of Stephens, a privately owned financial services company with its headquarters in Little Rock, Arkansas. Trump said his pick for ambassador has built a financial services firm while selflessly giving back to his community as a philanthropist. He said that Warren would be given the task of representing the USA to one of America's most cherished and beloved allies. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he will be attending the reopening of the restored Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Paris's iconic Notre Dame Cathedral is set to reopen this weekend following a restoration effort after the devastating 2019 fire. The 850-year-old landmark will welcome visitors and worshippers on Saturday and Sunday, with several world leaders expected to attend the historic event. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered around the California state capitol in Sacramento, urging lawmakers to take action against President-elect Donald Trump's mass deportation plans. This show of resistance comes as California Governor Gavin Newsom and state lawmakers prepare for a special session to protect the state's progressive policies ahead of Trump's presidency. Lawmakers are anticipating a challenging year ahead, with the Trump administration's expected policies posing a threat to various California laws. First Lady Jill Biden has unveiled the White House's stunning holiday decorations, themed a season of peace and light. This year's decorations feature 83 Christmas trees, 9,810 feet of ribbon, over 28,125 ornaments and more than 2,200 hand-cut paper piece doors. The White House expects nearly 100,000 visitors during the holiday season. Jill Biden thanked the volunteers from across the country who helped decorate the White House. As the Bidens prepare to bid farewell to the White House next month, Jill Biden took a moment to reflect on their time in the iconic residence. She said, "It's been an honor to serve as the country's first family and wish the nation peace and light this holiday season." A U.S. judge has rejected Elon Musk's massive salary package at Tesla of $55.8 billion. The judge upheld a decision in a bid to reject Musk's package, even though shareholders of the company had voted to reinstate it 6 months ago. Chancellor Kathleen McCormick of Delaware's Court of Chancery ruled that Tesla's attempt to ratify Musk's compensation package through a June shareholder vote could not override her January decision. She had struck down the package in January as excessive and unfair to the shareholders. The Palestinian death toll from the ongoing Israeli attacks in the Gaza Strip has risen to nearly 44,500, with over 105,000 injured, according to Gaza-based health authorities. In the past 24 hours alone, Israeli military operations in Gaza have resulted in 37 deaths and 100 injuries. According to reports, the Israeli army conducted airstrikes in several locations in the northern Gaza Strip that night, resulting in the death of at least 25 people. The Israeli army targeted multiple buildings in Jabalia, Beit Lahiya and Beit Hanun, including a shelter for displaced individuals in Beit Lahiya, which resulted in the death of at least 15 people. Georgian police fired tear gas to disperse thousands of pro-EU demonstrators in Tbilisi's city centre. The demonstrators were rallying against the government's decision to halt EU accession talks, which they believe was made after a fraudulent election. The country's prime minister had vowed not to negotiate with the opposition just hours before the demonstrations. This move further enraged the opposition, who are demanding that the government should continue its EU trajectory. The demonstrations, which have been ongoing since October, have now escalated, with riot police using pepper spray, water cannons and physical violence against the demonstrators. Opposition figures and journalists have also been on the target. Former NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has proposed a potential solution to the ongoing Ukrainian conflict, suggesting that temporary territorial concessions to Russia could help establish a ceasefire. In a recent interview, Stoltenberg emphasized the importance of diplomatic negotiations and compromise in achieving a ceasefire agreement. He suggested that a ceasefire line could be established even if it means Russia continues to control occupied territories. French President Emmanuel Macron and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman called for presidential elections in Lebanon after a fragile ceasefire agreement went into effect there. Both the leaders met on the first day of the state visit by the French president to Saudi Arabia. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has denounced an alleged coup plot against Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as a violent plan. Brazilian officials are probing the plot, which reportedly aimed to prevent Lula's inauguration in 2022. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been implicated in the plot and may face indictment.
O respeito pela tolerância.
Beijing has strongly denounced Lithuania's decision to expel 3 Chinese diplomats, accusing the country of violating the One China principle and damaging bilateral ties. China's foreign ministry deemed Lithuania's actions unreasonable and reserved the right to take countermeasures. Lithuania's move has sparked tensions between the two nations, with China viewing it as a challenge to its sovereignty and territorial integrity, particularly regarding Taiwan. Taiwan's defense ministry said that it is thoroughly assessing China's military activities, as security sources said that Beijing could launch new war games as soon as this weekend. China has held 2 rounds of war games around Taiwan this year, with its forces operating nearby on a daily basis. The potential launch of new drills coincides with the Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te's trip to the Pacific, highlighting the ongoing tensions between Taiwan and China.
非常严密的一个作业机制。那么
China has lifted its remaining trade suspensions on Australian red meat, marking a major step towards resolving a costly trade dispute that has impacted $13 billion worth of Australian exports. The lifting of these suspensions is a welcome move for Australian cattle farmers and the red meat industry. As a whole, China is a crucial market for Australian beef, and the removal of these trade barriers is expected to strengthen exports and support the industry's growth. A truck driver in a vehicle with a Polish license plate caused a series of accidents on two German motorways, driving in a zigzag fashion as he caused many injuries. After collision with the incoming traffic, did the truck come to a stop. Well, during the chaotic journey, drivers were warned through the traffic radio and asked to leave the motorways as quickly as possible, but in many cases they could not avoid the truck in time. German officials said that 50 vehicles were involved in the series of accidents near the city of Unveils. According to the police, an initial probe indicated that the driver was mentally ill and has been placed in a psychiatric clinic. Cyclone Fenjol has left a trail of destruction in southern India, particularly in Tamil Nadu, where at least 7 people lost their lives after a boulder fell on a residential building due to heavy rains. The cyclone has since weakened into a deep depression, but the region continues to experience heavy rainfall and flooding. US manufacturing contracted at a moderate pace in November, with orders growing for the first time in 8 months and factories facing major lower prices for inputs. The improvement reported by the Institute for Supply Management tracked similar increase in other sentiment surveys, which have risen on hopes of more business-friendly policies from the incoming Trump administration. Economists are concerned, however, as only 3 industries, including computers, electrical equipment and appliances, reported growth. Apple has been accused in a new lawsuit of illegally monitoring its workers' personal devices and iCloud accounts, while also barring them from discussing their pay and working conditions. The complaint filed in California State Court claims that the company requires employees to install software on personal devices that they use for work. It claims it allows Apple to access their email, photo libraries, health and smart home data, and other personal information. At the same time, the lawsuit alleges that Apple imposes confidentiality policies that prohibit employees from discussing working conditions and engage in legally protected whistleblowing. Oil prices were little changed in early Asian trading as traders awaited the outcome of an OPEC Plus meeting later this week. Sources from the producer group said that it will extend its latest round of output cuts until the end of the first quarter at its December 5th meeting. OPEC Plus, which includes the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies such as Russia, has been looking to unwind production cuts by the first quarter of 2025. However, the outlook for surplus supply has put pressure on prices. The group accounts for about half of the world's oil production.